Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Will McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest, bringing you real talk and weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the Black and Blue Division. So whether you rep green and gold, Honolulu Blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
What's going on, Will McCann? It's been a while.
Been a minute.
It's been a minute, but we're back at it.
Back
Hey,
on
friends
it.
and kinfolk, thank you for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. As you know, Will and I are realtors in the state of Michigan. And if you know anyone that's talking about buying, selling, or investing in the next 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, hit us up. We'll help you score a touchdown in real estate. Will McCann, what we doing today?
Hey, my man, we're talking about these quarterbacks today, man. As Teller said, man, it's been a minute since we've been here. Since we've been able to gather together. He and I both, like he said, we're realtors, man. So we've been out handling business and taking care of business, and we've had personal life happening, right? So we just hadn't been able to connect, man. Trying to do things out here, trying to be movers and shakers out here in Southeast Michigan. So yeah, we're back on the grind today, man, bringing you some real information today, talking about these quarterbacks, man. I don't know about you, man, but as we talked about this sounded like a real fun exercise, right? But dude, as I dove in and like we always talk about, we're realtors. We're used to diving into numbers and being
Right,
analytical and
right.
looking at this versus that. Man, I got swamped by the numbers. There were just so many. I didn't think it would be this difficult to try to whittle a list down to 100 guys. Um, what about you? How about you going through this process?
So definitely the subject of yeah, we should just rate the top 100 quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. You think this would be fun, it'll be easy, it'll be a good time. But as you said, you start looking at these numbers and you're like, okay, because we have parameters for how we're doing this.
Yes, yes.
And and some people are going to be upset. I got cousins out there that already reached out to me and said, X, Y, and Z better be on your list,
Better be on your list.
but they don't meet the parameters. So some
Right,
people are going to
right.
be upset. But once you get into it, it's it's a daunting task.
It is,
And
man.
we actually pushed it back, right? We did a couple
Yes,
of different episodes before we got to this point, and still with that extra time. Man, it was just time consuming. But I think it should be a fun conversation. And the lists that we come up with each individually and talk about these quarterbacks. And and like everything else, the top tier is going to be where the juice of the argument is.
yes,
But
yes,
I think there will be some interesting ones along the way where we're
yes.
like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think along the way, we're going to remember some names from the past.
Right.
Me, probably more so than you. Well, I
Yeah.
won't say
Yeah.
me more than you, me back further than you. I'll say it that way. Because I'm sure I'm going to come up with some names from the 80s and 90s who you remember. And you're like, oh, man, I forgot all about that guy, right? And I'm sure
Hmm.
you've got
Hmm.
some on your list like, oh, yeah, I remember when that guy did his thing. So, yeah,
Right.
it'd
Right.
be fun to have those discussions, man. Like Tellis said, man, we as we went through a lot of data because my man and I don't half-ass anything, right? So we wanted to make sure we were bringing good information, right? So we took a little longer to try to say, man, I'm just not ready yet, man. I'm
Right.
boggled about so much information. I haven't put it together in a manner that is presentable and that I can have some discussion around. So yeah, my man took a little long, and the truth is, we could have taken another week, but it's like, let's do what we got, man. Let's start some discussion from there, and we'll go from there.
Honestly,
A
we
lot
could have.
easier when we talk about current quarterbacks because that list is short, and the top tier in that list is real short. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. You
it's
mentioned.
like
Yeah. You mentioned taking more time. We could have taken all summer to come up with this
yes, yes, yes.
because it's
Understand, folks, we're not the guys on ESPN, right?
yeah.
We don't have an analytical staff
Right. We don't
together
have people
numbers
feeding
for
us the
Justin,
information.
but we really could have, man. It's just all along the way, I felt like I needed to cut the numbers a different way. Let me look at this a different way, especially when you started to group guys and then say, okay, in this group, how do I rank these guys? So yeah, the whole
Right,
thing was
right,
fun, man. So
right.
yeah, let's get into it, man. So to start with, like Tellis said, we had some criteria around, right? We were looking for quarterbacks who Super Bowl era, right? So there are going to be some all-time greats who made some of our all-time great lists. One of the quarterbacks who made our team's all-time great list didn't qualify for this list because he didn't play in the Super Bowl era. And what were the other things? No, that was pretty much was it. He had to be
Well,
a long-term starter.
yeah, minimum 65 games
Minimum 65. Oh, I thought I said
as a starter.
minimum started 65 games.
Right,
So
right.
when we looked at that in the Super Bowl era, that actually, I don't know how many you found, but I found 168 guys
Yeah,
uh, who
yeah,
fell into that criteria.
yeah,
And then I started looking at it, and it's like, okay, what I surprisingly found were there are some journeymen who were just around long enough and had started enough games to have made the list. But it's
yeah.
like, he ain't a top 100 of all. That guy is clearly a journeyman. And then there are a couple of people who are journeymen who made my list because I had to
Uh,
get to 100. Actually, when I first put together my list, we had said retired quarterbacks. I put together my list, I whittled it down, I had 102. And then I realized I had some current players in my list. So
hmm
I started taking the current players out. Then I thought about some current players. That list that I sent you, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, and there are some other guys. We'll get to them who are current players that I put on my list because I don't feel like they can change their trajectory at all. They
Right.
are currently backups or they are bridge starters, just waiting for their replacement to come along. And I don't think they're going to change their long-term trajectory on this list. And it doesn't matter whether can they have a great season that had I evaluated it at the end, I may have put somebody at 57 rather than 78.
hmm
For the sake of this discussion, that won't matter, right? He ain't moving into the top 25.
Right. And one of those quarterbacks that I think about when you say that is Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers has been the where he's at right now, he's been at that position in that tier for the last 4 years.
yeah, yeah,
He's not going anywhere. The
yeah.
only thing that can happen is the Steelers with a first year coach
Uh-huh.
and a lot of holes go to the Super Bowl and he wins.
Yes, yes,
It can elevate him to another tier,
yes, it could.
but it's not going to happen.
Now, you know what? For me, and that was interesting that you said that. Let me ask you this. Did he make your list?
Yeah.
And he didn't make my list for the very argument that you made, right?
Okay.
And I started to put him there because you're right. He can't change, for me, he can't change his tier.
He
But
can't
he
change his
can go
tier.
from being eighth in a tier to being second in a tier based on having that kind of season. So I think for that reason, I think I left him off my list. And the other
You
two guys I had
you
on my list that I
you
took out of my go ahead.
you got two spots, so you can add them in there.
That is true. That is true. And if I put him in there, and I'm going to give that some thought, because if I put Aaron in there, Aaron instantly goes to one of the top tiers. So
Yeah.
I ain't got to worry about him today. No way.
Right, 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 right.
And the other two guys who I left out, who I had in initially, were Stafford and Mahomes. And I
Okay.
took all three of those guys out. I'm like, no,
You took
those
him
guys.
out.
I almost left Mahomes because I'm like, it's hard for Mahomes to go higher than second. And again, that's just me and my discussion. Oh, wow. Okay, put that down. Did you see that?
I do see that.
Man, this AI
But
stuff better
you'll
come
have
up.
a chance to add them in because I think you want to add them in,
Okay.
right? It,
Him I'm going to reserve. I'm going to write that name down so I don't forget it. Yeah.
Who was the other one you said?
Stafford and Mahomes.
Stafford and Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mahomes, because Stafford doesn't have a lot of leeway to me because he just doesn't have a lot of runway left, right? He's
Right.
near the end of the. Mahomes has some time left to catch Brady, right? Brady made 10 Super Bowls, and we'll get to numbers. Mahomes has already made five, which makes him second all time, right?
Yeah.
So if you just look at that alone, he's in the top five. Hard for him to go lot higher than the top five to me.
Yeah. But based on what you're saying, seem like you would have Stafford on the list because he's not going to move.
Stafford could move though. A season
Stafford could
like
move?
a season after coming off of an MVP season, another MVP season where they completed would elevate Stafford to me. It would elevate Stafford to a different tier for me.
He might get to a different tier for me, but I feel like the tier that he's in should be he's not going to move up that far.
That automatically tells me you've got him in a different tier. That will be a fun discussion when we get there.
Yeah.
I
Spoiler alert, Kirk Cousins is the number one quarterback in the history of the NFL.
oh okay. So you have turned into hot take Harry. I see. Right? You
And
just flipped.
we talked about this in the office about how Kirk Cousins got to be the number one money making quarterback without any accolades, without any medal, without any trophies. He has made the most money. He has outkicked his coverage.
I'm gonna. I was gonna say the opposite about him, man. Okay, and I get the outkicked its coverage analogy, right?
Right,
But about my man, I would say he stays behind his blockers, man. The guy is there a better negotiator in the history of the NFL than Kirk Cousins? Kirk has never held out. And dude has had four consecutive fully guaranteed contracts. Tell
right,
me who has done that.
right,
The greats
right.
in the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady never had one.
No,
This guy had four fully guaranteed. Tell me this dude don't know how to negotiate.
right, right, exactly. Exactly. All right, let's get into this list,
All
man.
right, man, let's get into it, bro. Brought up something else, didn't I? All right, there we go. At number 98, I've got Case Keenum at the bottom of my list. 97, Joey Harrington. You're like, wait a minute, why is Joey Harrington even on this list? Remember, I said, having started 65 games, he was a top five draft pick. Joey Harrington was the number three overall pick in the draft. That was a starter in this league. He would fall at 97 to me, didn't say he was a good one. Aaron Brooks surprisingly started over 111 games in this league. Chris Chandler, I've got at 95. So give me your 100 or wherever you start through 95, Tell.
All right, I have 98, but I'm gonna start at 99. And this is gonna be a hot take. I'm going with Andrew Luck at 99.
Oh, man. Okay.
99.
Uh-oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 99. So the thing about Andrew Luck is he played 86 games. So he meets the criteria, but the early retirement at age 28, 29
Mm-hmm.
shortened his career, and that becomes the leading story for him in the overall picture of the NFL. This guy could have been one of the better quarterbacks. He could have, if he didn't retire because of injury, if he stayed in the league, um, if he could get through those years where they had terrible offensive line. He could probably be in the top, at least the top three tier. If he won championships, top two
Hmm.
tier. If we won Super Bowls, MVPs, all that kind of stuff. So we had
Right.
the talent, but the major picture, the overall theme of his story in the NFL is a shortened career.
Yes,
Right.
yes, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I agree with you. He comes up on my list a little bit higher, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Andrew Luck is in the same tier.
Right. Same tier, right?
Yep, yep.
98, Don Meredith,
Ah,
the original Cowboy star,
Dandy
Dandy
Don.
Don, right? But hey, I mean, it was only 47 and 32 for his career as a starter, so that wasn't where you want to be. Jim Harbaugh, Captain Comeback,
Okay.
Mark Bulger.
Oh man, Mark made your list. Okay.
Yep, yep,
I don't think he made my list.
yeah.
And then 95. Who you got at 95?
95, um, Brian Seep,
Brian Sipe.
Sipe, yeah.
I can't remember if Sipe made my list or not. Okay. All right. Old starter
And
for the Cleveland Browns in the 80s, man. Got led them to the playoffs. Part of one of the greatest plays in playoff history. He threw an interception in the end zone to lose a playoff game to the Raiders. All right.
90, 94, Daryl LaMonica,
Okay.
Oakland Raiders.
I think I had LaMonica in a higher tier. Okay.
Okay, well, hey.
Go ahead.
93, Chad Pennington.
Okay.
90, we're at 92,
Yep.
Dante Culpepper.
Okay.
91, Neil O'Donnell.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then at 90, Steve Gorgon, New England Patriot.
Who?
Steve
Oh, Steve
Gorgon,
Grogan.
Grogan,
Grogan.
yeah.
Yeah. Steve, Steve Grogan had the honor of being one of the quarterbacks in the Super Bowl who got crushed by the 85 Bears. But Steve can say, I started. Did he start or did Tony Eason start that Super Bowl? Can't remember which one of them started, but both of them got crushed.
Right.
All right, cool, man. All right, at 92, what do I have after Jim Zorn? I started Chris Chandler at 95, 94 Jim Zorn at 93. Jim McMahon at 92. I've got Neil Lomax at 91. Check this out, homie.
Uh,
So if there's one we know we got right, we know we nailed Neil O'Donnell. Oh man, I changed colors here somehow, and I don't know how to change it back, so I'm gonna live with it.
uh,
And I've got Derek Carr at 90.
okay.
All right, let me see. Let me do this so I can make sure I get my numbers right now. All right, anybody on my list you find odd, or you like, dude, what are you thinking?
Derek Carr.
You don't even think Derek Carr belongs. I forget that's a player who ain't going nowhere. I don't care what he does. He can even come back this year, but he ain't going nowhere.
I will say this. If Fernando Mendoza is a quarterback that everyone's talking about,
Uh-huh.
then Derek Carr, you have Derek Carr where he needs to be,
Wait a
right?
minute. Okay, I need that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, because Derek Carr leads the Raiders in yards. Isn't he the all-time leader
Oh, and
in
passing
passing
yards?
yards?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So I have him up in another tier simply based on that, right? Because
Got it.
you look at the Raiders' um, history and legacy and the quarterbacks that have played for them. For him to be the one that's got the most passing yards, and there's a different league and all that kind of stuff, right? But Mendoza comes in there and performs and has a nice long career. He'll easily be the best quarterback in the Raiders legacy. So Derek Carr would definitely fall down to on my list to where you have him in that tier.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, the reason he is even on the list to me is because of what you said.
Yeah.
Uh, his um, his legacy with having started as many games as he did. Derek Carr started 78 games, mostly for the Raiders. He took them to a couple of playoffs. You know, he's played in playoff games. Um, I just Yeah, the reason I have him that he never won anything, right? He never had any
No.
real impact. He made the Pro Bowl a few times, but he was never an All Pro. He made the Pro Bowl, and his passing numbers to me are generational. It's because of this generation. We're in a passing league, and more guys make the Pro Bowl. It's easier for guys to make the Pro Bowl. More guys bow out of the Pro Bowl. Shador Sanders is going to have on his resume that he made the Pro Bowl, right? I
Hmm.
think Derek Carr's got a couple of those in his resume. So that's why he's this low on my list.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to the next 10. And let's start with number 89. Who do you have at number 89?
I got Ken O'Brien.
I don't can't remember if Ken made my list. Okay.
Yep. Uh, Trent Green,
Okay.
Neil Lomax.
Okay. So when you talk about, I had them in the low 90s. You got Lomax in the, low in the high 80s. They're still in the same range. So
This,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm
same
with you.
tier.
I'm
Yeah,
with you.
no issue there.
No,
Jim McMahon,
okay, okay.
Ryan Tannehill,
Uh-oh. I'm almost sure he didn't make my list.
yeah, these next two are gonna cause some upset.
You're laughing already. You can't even get them out. You don't even take yourself serious, man. Quit playing with me.
Baker Mayfield.
Homie, why you do?
They
Why you
these
doing Baker like that,
look,
man?
these the next two have a chance because they still have
Yes.
some
Okay.
time. They can
Woo.
definitely move up the list, right? But where they're at right now, don't be a prisoner of the moment.
Okay.
Justin Herbert,
What?
that's right.
Okay. Okay. Now, if you think about and if you talk about where they are, their accomplishments right now, right, with what they've accomplished right now in their career, I agree with you 100%. That would be where both of these guys would belong
Right,
in the history. When you look at the names around them, right?
right.
Yeah, they are in that as far as their accomplishments. But to me, both of them have so much more runway to go. I
They
couldn't
do,
even
but I,
pick
I
them.
can't give them credit for the runway. So let me drop number 82 on you. You ready for number 82?
I'm ready, bro. I'm ready.
Joe Burrow.
Man, you don't like folks, do you? You just out here disliking people all over the place, man.
80, 81,
Yeah.
Jake Plummer.
Okay.
80, Matt Hasselbeck. So,
Okay. All
you
right. Your
know,
80s.
it's a list, right? It's a list. So,
Um, your Mayfield, Herbert, Burrow. Burrow, I was again accomplishments just to date, right? I would
right.
have Burrow a little higher. Maybe just off the top of my head, because that's kind of how I did mine. As I went through the list, I kind of said 93, 92, 55, 42. And then I kind of looked at how I had kind of grouped guys and then kind of worked it from there.
Hmm.
And yeah, if I were to do that and those current players, yeah, I Mayfield and Herbert, I probably would have had that. I probably would have just off the top of my head put Burrow in high 50s, low 60s.
If
Having played in the NFC conference game twice already, having won it once,
and the
I
Super
would put
Bowl
him a little higher than these guys.
and played in the Super Bowl, right?
And even though Hasselbeck is in that same category also, because Hasselbeck started that Super Bowl for Seattle, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's a little bit higher on my list also. So
Hmm.
yeah, that is the I don't completely disagree. Neither one of those guys are in that echelon, right? In that upper echelon.
Right,
But
right, right, right,
yeah, somehow I think I missed somebody here. Give me a second, or I got a number off.
right.
9, 8. I did. I missed somebody in the 90s, so I'm just going to slot him here at 89 because it don't matter. But the guy who should have been at 98 for me is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
So 89, 98, yeah, he's the same dude. All right. So then I have, come on. I'm going to say this, and I'm only going to say it one time. I'm going to let you take it. I'm going to let you let your mind work from there. This is a guy who started for the, you know who he is, right? Started for the Green Bay Packers in the 80s during those years when they weren't very good.
Uh,
My man, Lynn Dickey, he makes my all name team for one reason and one reason only. I had a coworker who used to always call him Limp.
yeah.
So he makes the team. Number 87 is Steve DeBerg.
Okay.
Number 86 is Dante Pastorini. Uh, Played all those years for the Houston Oilers, battling the uh, Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 85, Brian Greasy. So
Okay.
yes, father and son make my list. Um, Number 84 is where I have your man Steve Grogan. 83, bombs away Tommy Kramer. And then number 82 is where I have Ken O'Brien.
Okay.
I see something I did that I don't believe I did, and I'm just going to leave it there because I don't know how I did this. Uh, uh, Joe Ferguson started all those years for the Buffalo Bills. And dude, I don't know how I did this, but I question myself and how serious I even took this whole process.
Oh, David
I
Carr.
do not know how David Carr made my list.
Yeah.
He started 78 games, and
All right, bro. We have
I don't
to.
know how David Carr made my list. I don't know how. That what I am going to assume is as I was going through the names so many times, I saw Carr and I was thinking Derek. And,
Yeah.
and I overlooked that. I do not know how David Carr should not even be on this list. My list should be 97 if I but I'm going to fall out of order on my list if I take him out. So David Carr is a very generous number 80.
That is generous. That is generous.
Now I'm going to leave that one out. Who else on my list did surprises you with where they are that you didn't have on your list or is higher or lower on your list? Well,
That's a pretty good list. That's good. Yeah, that's good.
yeah, we're in about the we're like I said, we're in the same range.
Right,
I
right.
had Lomax in the 90s. You got him in the high 80s. I think the same with Ken O'Brien. Um, and I think you had a different Steve. Not we both had Grogan. So yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
we're good there. All right, move
All
on
right.
to the 70s, man. Let's talk. Okay, folks, for the sake of time, Tellis and I took a little break here. For the sake of time, we've added the names going from 79 all the way through 30 to make it a little faster so we can kind of breeze through it a little faster. So, Tellis, go ahead and talk about your next set, the 70s, 79 through 70. Run down through that 10 chord.
Right. You're gonna bring that up so we have it on screen or
Thank you. That makes it a lot better, doesn't it, than you just running down and talking names.
Right,
There we
right.
go, man. Keep your man's on point, man. Make sure your
There we
man's
go.
is
There we
doing
go. There we go.
it.
So as you can see, I got Jeff Garcia at 79, Mark Rippon, Brad Johnson, Rodney Pete. Let me just let me just say, Rodney Pete is up here because he was able to pull Diana Ross from the Jacksons' American Dream. So if you don't know who that is, we're talking about Holly Robinson.
I'm 21 Jump Street myself, but I hear you. You got Rodney up there because he know how to pull chicks. I hear you. He's
So
an NFL quarterback who knows how to pull women. You got to give your man that, and they've been married. Great family ever since, man. Yeah, I give your man
right,
Rodney Pete. And hey, he took a couple of teams to the playoffs. So yeah, I see. I understand
right,
why
right.
Rodney's on the list.
He had a success. I would say he had a successful NFL career. He would be on this list, but I would probably have him in the 90s or the 80s, right? As far as ranking him purely on his
His
football
accomplishments.
stats. But for the young people out there, Holly Robinson Pete, man, that's a pull. That's a pull.
That
So
that is yeah, that's
uh,
top shelf. He got some top shelf action there. I give it to you, man.
that's why he's up so high. I bring the chaos to this thing, so
Woo.
you have to bear with me on that one.
Hey,
And then we
homie,
got
I had Rodney. I had Joey Harrington on the list, so you can have Rodney P.
that's right. That's right.
Woo.
And you see Jay Cutler, Andy Dalton, 73, Kerry Collins, 72, Derek Carr, 71, Jim Zorn, and 70, Chris Miller.
Okay, and my group in the 70s, some of the guys that you had, I've had them just a little higher in the list than you did. That's Kirk Cousins at 79. At 78, my man Jim Everett. Never forget him tossing over Jim Rome. Chad Pennington was a guy who started a lot of games, long time in the league, especially for the Jets. A guy who just was a grinder, but started a lot of games. Jeff Garcia. I know you had Jeff a little lower on your list, but you had Jeff on the list. And it's ironic you and I both have Jay Cutler at 75. And I have Jake Delhomme at 74. Bobby Bear at 73, and there's a little Michigan Panther love in there for Bobby Bear also. And Cordell Stewart, the original Slash in the NFL, it makes the list at 73. I know you had Culpepper, Dante Culpepper, a little lower on your list. I've got him coming in at 71. And closing out the 70s, I have my man Steve Burlock.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the one
Anybody in my
significant,
group surprise you?
well, I want to talk about Derek Carr a little bit because you had Derek Carr at 90.
Yeah,
I got him at 72. So talk
yeah.
to me about how he ends up at 90 for you.
Remember, like I said, he he's got some records with the Raiders, but I feel like a lot of his numbers, his accomplishments are inflated because of the era he played in. I think his passing numbers are inflated because he had a lot of empty calories where his teams were behind a lot and he's doing a lot of throwing to keep his teams in game. He doesn't have, I don't think he has any playoff victories. And I think he only led the team to the playoffs once. I closed my list. But yeah, he didn't have enough playoff appearances to me. And it was a lot of meh to me for Derek Carr. Made the list because he did play a long time. He's made the Pro Bowl, but a lot of his Pro Bowls to me were other guys canceled. So he got one of those. It will now forever be known as a Shador Sanders Pro Bowl on his resume. I think he's got a few of those, right? So that's why I had him. But he's been a long-term starter in this league. I just had him a little lower in the list.
Yeah, I think I give him credit for being in the league as long as he was. He was a second round pick, number 36 overall. I think for the situation that he was in, he was able to build a decent career. And I think I give him credit for the longevity. And the four Pro Bowls, I'll minus out the one that you're talking about. So it's three Pro Bowls in an
Only
era
one?
where
Only one?
in an era where it was tough to be a Pro Bowl
Yes, it
quarterback,
was. Yes, it
right?
was.
So there was some stiff competition when he played. So
Yes.
I just I give him a little bit more credit than you do as far for those reasons,
Yeah.
and that's why he's at 72 for me versus 90 for you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about the 60s. There we go. All
Yeah.
right. Go ahead and run through your group in the 60s for me.
At 69, Jake Delhomme. 68, Cordell Stewart. We'll get back to him.
Yep.
67, Jim Hart. Vinny Testaverde, Drew Bledsoe, Ron Josh Jaworski, Bill Kilmer, Rich Gannon, Burt Jones, and 60 is Mark Brunell.
Mike Brunell, current Detroit Lions quarterback coach.
Yes, currently, yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay. And my
So
listen is, go ahead.
I was just gonna say Cordell Stewart. You had him. Where'd you have him at? Like
I, yeah,
70,
just a few spots lower. Yeah.
just a few.
Yeah.
So there's not that big of a difference in
Nope,
where
not
we're
at
putting him
all.
as far as the range,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But Cordell Stewart was one of those quarterbacks that was electric,
Yes, he was.
and you just wanted to watch him whenever you got a chance because he was gonna do something. He
Yeah.
was gonna
For the young people who didn't see him, he was Lamar Jackson.
right.
Yeah, Michael Vick tended to just take off more, right?
Hmm.
But he kind of had a coach who told him that also, right?
Right.
Those guys had coaches who tried to turn them into passers, who wanted to turn them into passers, right? So I think they were more similar, where they had big arms, made big plays, and when the play broke down, took off, and they had design runs for the guy where
Right.
he impacted the game. So yeah, Cordell Stewart was electric. I agree.
Was a legend. If you're not familiar with Cordell Stewart, just go to YouTube and put his name in there. and he's gonna make some Wolverine fans a little a little upset.
I'm glad that was you that brought that up and not me about how he broke the hearts of the Wolverine fans. Notice I didn't bring it up when I brought his name up earlier, right? I'm glad that was you that did that to the Wolverine fan. That was your man Tell, folks. It wasn't me. It
Yeah.
was not me.
Hey, bring all the smoke you want.
I know that's right. All right, and then to run through my list in the 60s, I've got Billy Kilmer coming in at number 69, Tony Romo at 68, the first Manning to appear on the list, Archie Manning, the first of three who will appear on my list. And then I just mentioned Michael Vick in comparison to Cordell Stewart. And I know you had this guy a little lower on your list. I got him a little higher on my list, and that's Dandy Don Meredith. And I've got Greg Landry at 64. At 63, Burt Jones from the old Baltimore Colts. And then coming in at 62 is Carson Palmer, Captain Comeback at number 61, Jim Harbaugh. You had Harbaugh a little lower on your list, didn't you?
Oh, I had Harbaugh at 97.
Yeah, I know, I know you had him way lower on your list. And then at number 60, I've got Trent Green. So tell me why you had Harbaugh so low, and I've got him. Again, they're in that same tier, right? But I've got them toward the top of, or more in the middle of that tier, and you've got them toward the bottom of the tier. So tell me why you've got them there.
Yeah, I think for Jim Harbaugh, and 97 might be a little high for him, for me, when I'm
Okay.
looking at Jim Harbaugh. But he was Captain Comeback.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're Captain Comeback, what were you doing the rest of the game?
Yeah.
That's my only question.
A lot of people have asked that question about a lot of guys who have,
Uh,
a high number of comebacks.
right.
Some of
Yeah.
that is true, but generally what that tells you is that they played on a lot of bad teams and they just end up behind a lot, is what that generally tells me, and that they're able to get it done in the end. There's a lot of guys who fall behind in games and they are not able to get it done at the end. But yeah,
Right.
guys like him and Matthew Stafford and Jim Hart come to mind. Jim Hart was another one of those guys who, with the Cardinals, were called the cardiac kids when he played because
Right.
they had so many comebacks. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I can understand that as well. But yeah, I had him a little higher on my list because of that. His ability to make things happen, man. It's just his ability to know how to play football. A lot like there was somebody on your list that I was going to say that about, and maybe it was somebody that you had on the previous list. They just was just a grinder, man. And Harbaugh was just a grinder. Oh, I know who it was. Rodney Peete. Rodney
Yeah.
Peete was that guy, right? Rodney Peete was a grinder. When Rodney Peete was in the game, his team moved the ball down the field. It was never pretty, but they got first downs. They got into the red zone all the time. So yeah,
Right.
yeah, Jim Harbaugh was a similar type player to me. All
Uh,
right, so moving on to the 50s. What was that chuckle about?
just just a comparison, Jim Harbaugh and Rodney
And
Peete.
Rodney P. Rodney, well, I'm gonna say that, man.
Right,
I
right.
was I was gonna say Rodney's better at pulling chicks, but then that would be so disrespectful to Harbaugh's wife, man. So I'm not gonna say that. She is a beautiful woman also. She just isn't well known like that, right?
Right,
Moving
right.
on before I get myself in any more trouble. Moving on.
Exactly, exactly. So
All
at
right, let's move on
59,
to the yeah, let's
yeah,
move on to the 50s here.
at 59, I have Greg Landry. 58, Craig Morton. 57, Danny White. Bernie Kosar. Carlson Palmer. Dave Craig. Jim Everett. Boomer Esiason. Joe Theismann and Steve Bartkowski.
All right, awesome. I had Landry come in a few spots earlier, so we got him in about the same range. Same
Right.
with Carson Palmer, Jim Everett. So yeah, we're pretty similar there. All right, so for
Hmm.
me coming in at 59, I've got Kerry Collins. Excuse me. At 58, I got Andy Dalton, who's still playing in this league. At 57, I have Mark Brunell. And just a little bit higher than you, or a little bit lower, I should say, than you, is my man Steve Bartkowski, longtime starter for the Atlanta Falcons. And at 55, I have my man Alex Smith. At 54, Brad Johnson. At 53, Vinny Testaverde. Andrew Luck at 52, Randall Cunningham at number 51, and another, well, they were the Washington Redskins when he played, my man Sonny Jurgensen of the now Washington Commanders. So anybody on my list stand out to you or surprise to you that I have them in the range I have them in?
Yeah, so Andrew Luck at 52, where for me, Andrew Luck barely made my list.
Barely major. Isn't he at the bottom of your list now that I go
He's
back and
at
think about
he's at the bottom of my list. He is
it?
99 because I couldn't come up with 100, but
Yeah.
An- Andrew Luck is 99 for me. And talk to me about why you have him at 52 because I think we talked about why I have him at 99.
Yeah, and I think for me, going back to some of the things that you had said about him, his injuries, not having ever a decent offensive line in front of him. And I see I misspelled it. Let me get my R in here because that's bothering me.
Mhm.
um, I understand that his career is definitely understated, and it is a career of what could have been. But he was the number one overall pick in the draft, and he came in with high expectations. And those high expectations have crushed a lot of people, and it didn't crush him. And he had winning seasons. He led his team to the playoffs, and unlike Derek Carr, in my opinion, his
Mhm.
Pro Bowl seasons, I felt like he earned, and he didn't back into them because other guys didn't show up or backed out of it because they were in the playoffs. Um, so yeah, for that reason, I thought when he played, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now he didn't do it for a long period of time, which is why he isn't in a higher tier. And he doesn't have pelts on the wall, right? Which again is another reason he's not in a higher tier. But when he played, he was generally the best quarterback on the field.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when I look back on it, there were high expectations for him coming in because he was
Yes,
following behind Peyton Manning.
yes,
In his rookie year, he did set some records for rookie quarterback yards passing. I think he had like some record for the most yards in the game passing as a rookie at that point, right?
yeah,
In that season, they went 2-14, so it really didn't translate into wins. But they were later on, they were winning games.
yeah.
But
Didn't
for
they
but
didn't they go to the playoffs the next year?
I
If I'm
think they
not
did. I
mistaken.
think they did. Yeah, I think
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause
they
I
were like
think
11-5
right.
and
Yes,
made it to the
yes. I,
playoff,
I was going to say I
right?
remember an 11-5 team early in his career that made the
Yeah.
playoffs. So yeah.
But for me, I look at it in the sense of yes, he was injured. I think there was more to the mental side of it too for him,
Uh
where
huh.
he when he was walking away from the game. And he's only 36. He can come back and play.
He could play right, right. There are guys in this league older than him now, right?
That's right. So he has a chance to go from 99 to maybe 70 something for me if he wants to come back and play.
If he were to pull a Philip Rivers and come
Right.
back, get
Exactly.
into the playoffs, maybe he could climb a few runs for you.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly. But yeah,
Uh,
that's an interesting one.
all right, cool, cool. All right, let's move on to the 40s. All right, go ahead and run through your 40s for me.
All right, you can say I got George Blanda at 49, then Earl Merle, Jim Plunkett, John Hadley, Alex Smith, Cam Newton, Michael Vick, Doug Williams, Kirk Cousins, and Jared Goff.
You have one, two, three, four, five guys on your list on this page who are not on my list at all. Uh, Jared Goff, no, I got Cousins on my list, so that's four. Goff, and somebody else. Goff because he's a current player. I don't have.
Right.
Um,
You have Kirk Cousins?
yeah, I have Cousins is on my list.
Okay.
Cousins was higher on my list.
Okay.
John Hadel was. Now that I go back, how did I come up with that many? Because it's really just John Hadel and Jared Goff, who
Okay.
are not on my. Oh no, Doug Williams. I don't think Doug Williams is on my list.
I
So yeah,
don't think I think you're right. I don't think Doug Williams is on your list.
yeah, I don't think I don't. I'm pretty sure I haven't said Doug's name so far. I know Goff isn't on my list because he's a current player, and I didn't have John Hadel on my list. Hadel and Williams could definitely have made my list. They are definitely in this conversation of high-end starters. But like I said, in that mix of trying to whittle down from 168 to 100. Doug Williams definitely should be on my list. I don't know how he got cut. John Hiddle was a guy I liked watching coming up. I know he played for the Eagles and Rams when I was a kid. He was one of those guys who played mostly in the 60s and 70s. But he was a good, and he played for the Chargers too at one time, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, John
Hmm.
Hiddle was a good quarterback. But yeah, you got a couple of guys who I don't even think made my list.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you skip Doug Williams. I mean, two Super Bowls, right?
Two?
Well, yeah. Well, no, one
No,
Super
Doug.
Bowl, but he was an MVP.
I was going to say, as a Super Bowl MVP alone,
Yes.
he
Yes.
should have made the list. For me, did Doug not start enough games? There was something. I think because of his years, during his prime years, he was in the USFL, the league that Donald Trump destroyed. Yeah, I said it. Uh, Because that was a fun league, man. I miss the USF. When his prime years, a lot of guys who played in the USFL came in as rookies. They signed a lot of guys right out of college. Williams was one of the few who jumped from the NFL and went to the USFL. So a
Okay.
lot of his prime years, where he would have been, during his prime playing years, he was in the USFL. So when he came back to the NFL, he really was I don't want to call him a journeyman, but he was that veteran backup who lifted your quarterback room, right? He lifted the floor of the quarterback room. And the reason he got in and played that year that he was the Super Bowl MVP, Jay Schrader got hurt. I think Jay Schrader started more career games than Doug Williams. When I started looking at Doug versus some of the other quarterbacks, I was really surprised at his numbers, and I think that's because his prime years were in the USFL. But I agree with you, especially since I didn't get all the way to 100. He should be
Yeah.
on the list, and for me, probably somewhere in the 70s on the
Okay.
fact of that alone. Because he at
Okay.
one time was a number one overall pick as well.
All right. You want to get through your list, and I got one other thing that I wanted to mention on this one.
Okay. We got at 49, I've got Jaws, Ron Jaworski. I know you had him
Mhm.
come in a little earlier. Got
Yep.
Steve, Aaron McNair at number 48. Rich Gannon at number 47. My man Craig Morton at 46. He led two different teams to the Super Bowl. I know you had him in a little earlier on
Hmm.
your list. My man Jim Plunkett comes in at number 45, a two-time Super Bowl winner. Interesting that he's a two-time Super Bowl winner, but he's not listed with the um, franchise quarterbacks. He's listed with the high end quarterbacks. But Jim Plunkett was definitely a good player in this league. Bernie Kosar at 44. My man Jack Kemp at number 43. Matt Hasselbeck at number 42. Roman Gabriel. I think of Roman Gabriel and Jim Plunkett as kind of similar type of players to me. I remember as
Mhm.
a kid. And my man John Brody, I have at number 40.
So
So what?
the one thing I wanted to talk about is Michael Vick. So you had him at 66, and I have him at 43. And we're in the tier three range, but I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a big difference. So for me, Michael Vick, I, we were talking about Cordero Stewart,
Yeah.
and you're making a comparison between the two. But Michael Vick, when he hit the NFL, we had never seen anything like that,
Yes.
right? And he had an impact that co- that in a way changed how coaches and organizations looked at the quarterback position. It wasn't immediate, but what you're seeing today is what you're seeing in the NFL today at quarterback, for the most part, is a direct result from Michael Vick and what he was able to do. So for
And,
those reasons, I have him up a little bit higher than you. So talk to me about why you had him at 66.
yeah, I think for me, Randall Cunningham was a better player earlier in this cycle of quarterbacks of that ilk coming in the NFL. To me,
Keep in
I
mind
think,
though, keep in mind, Michael Vick did have a stint of time in his prime where he wasn't able to play football.
and I agree, and yeah, I agree with that also. That affected his development, in my opinion, right?
Right,
Because
right.
those were really key developmental years that he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
As far as skill set wise, Michael Vick reminded me of, and he was another Atlanta guy, ironically, uh, Dominique Wilkins, right? Just
Mm,
a human highlight film, right?
right,
He
right.
was just electric with everything he did. But as far as effectiveness in winning games, it was above average. His
It's
accomplishment didn't match his skill set to me.
so
Um,
it's interesting you said Dominique Wilkins. So
yeah,
for me, the the comparable in basketball is
don't say
Allen
it.
Iverson.
No. Okay, okay.
It's,
To me,
it's
they're the
Allen
same guy.
Iverson.
Same guy to me. I would say the exact same thing about Allen Iverson that I would say about Dominique Wilkins. So yeah, that's a
But
more
culture
recent
wise,
comparison for younger guys. So yeah, I hear you.
when we talk about
Okay, got you,
players that move the culture,
got you.
Michael Vick, Allen Iverson,
Yeah,
one in football, one in basketball.
I give you
And
that. I agree with that.
and as high school players, they could have chosen to play the opposite sport.
Different sports, right?
If they wanted to, they could have been professional in the opposite sport. But they moved the culture. There was something about those two that captured the imagination of the culture.
Yes,
And I think when we're talking about what the makeup of the fan base of the NFL now is, a big part of that we were drawn into Michael Vick,
yes.
right? And the kids, I call them kids, the kids that are playing today watched Michael Vick. And even someone like a Josh Allen,
Mhm.
you can say, comes out of that Michael Vick lineage.
I agree with everything you said, right? But to me, that's I to give you a different comparison, that's like it's like the Fab Five in college basketball. If you
Mhm.
ask who is the greatest Michigan basketball team of all time, it wouldn't be the Fab Five, though. So if you list those teams, it's not going to be the Fab Five. They're going to come in third.
Right. No,
But yeah,
I
they
completely
had
agree.
more of an impact on the culture. So that's just the same thing with me and Michael Vick. I
Right.
recognize all of that, but with his accomplishments, it was about where I think it is for him.
Okay. We'll agree to disagree. I understand that you're a numbers guy and you, you like to color inside the lines. I'm a little abstract over here, so I'm giving people credit for who they married, you know.
And I think you're looking at it from a perspective of who would you want to watch on Sunday, and I'm
Right.
looking for it from a perspective of if I'm standing on the sideline, who do I want to put on the field?
Right. You're like, who's gonna help me win?
Yes.
That's good.
uh,
That's good.
so let's move on to the 30s here. And I think this will finish out the tier three for us because at 24, we move into tier two after 25 here, even though I kept going with my names on the list here. So for you, give me number 29.
Should we be at 39?
What? Am I
Should we be
tripping?
at 39?
We just be at 39. No.
No.
How did I do that? You know what? I did that. Because check it
Yeah.
out. At the top of your list, you have George Blanda at 39, and then I come here and I see George Blanda. I thought, oh, we did that page.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
So we're coming into 39 here. We're coming into the 30s. Okay. Go ahead and
Yeah.
run through your list in the 30s for me.
Yep, yep. So at 39, Sonny Jurgensen, Jack Kemp at 38, Dan Fouts at 37, Bob Greasy at 36, Tony Romo at 35, Troy Aikman at 34, Joe Flacco at 33, 32, Lamar Jackson, 31, Josh Allen, and 30, Dak Prescott. I didn't realize it, but I have three, is that right? Three Cowboy
Cowboy
quarterbacks?
starters, yeah. I didn't. As soon as you said, I didn't realize it. I started looking for the commonality. Yeah, you got three Cowboys. You got two Ravens.
Yeah,
All right, cool, cool. All right, my list in the 30s at 39, I've got George Blanda, and you had him at 49, so we're not too far off there. At
right, right.
38, I have Donovan McNabb. At 37, I have Russell Wilson. At 36, Danny White. At 35, Jim Hart. And again, I admit Jim Hart might be a bit of that's a bit of a homer pick on my part. At 34, I have Boomer Esiason. At 33, Joe Flacco. Ironically, you and I both have them at that spot. At 32, I have Cam Newton. At 31, Phil Simms. And the second Manning making his appearance on the list, Eli Manning. So anything on my list stand out for you or look odd to you?
Yeah, and the yeah, we're gonna get into it, but you got Eli at 30, and Eli is a controversial individual as far as
Yes,
his career,
as far
the
as where he ranks,
as
as
where he
far as all
ranks.
time greats, yes.
Yeah.
Very,
And I'm surprised you have him at 30 because even though he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer,
mhm.
he's
We at least agree on that.
we agree on that. He does have two Super Bowls,
The
one
fact
over the Patriots, right?
the fact that yeah, okay, okay.
And
Um,
he's got some top 100 NFL moments,
yes, he does. Yes, he
right?
does.
But I guess the conversation around him is that he wasn't a star. He was just a grinder, right?
Yes. He
And
was, to me, he really wasn't, I don't want to say much better, any better than Jim Plunkett. And Jim Plunkett is a two-time Super Bowl winner. Now, Manning is a two-time Super Bowl MVP, which is a difference, right? And like
right,
you said, he does have a couple of the iconic moments in Super Bowl history. As we did our show on Super Bowl and our memories of the Super Bowl, you talked about Eli and he had both of Eli's games as Super
right.
Bowl moments you remember. So
Yep.
yeah, for that reason, his impact to the game, I understand where you're coming from. But again, other than those two moments, which is a lot like Jim Plunkett, other than those two moments, his career is pretty meh. It
Yeah.
wasn't, in fact, other than those two seasons, I don't think his team ever made the playoffs. So for that, to me, when you wrap it all together and you look at it in totality, yeah, that's why I have him where I have him. He's at the top end of the high end starters to me.
And I'll say this one last thing about it. Toward the end of his career, he was getting the JJ McCarthy treatment, where they were like, "We don't know if we want to keep resigning this guy."
I do think I am still bummed. I don't want to say upset. I'm disappointed in the coach who ended his consecutive start streak because he shouldn't have. He should have been able to retire with that streak intact. That bothered me about him, and not that that would have had any impact on his place on my list, but I thought that was at the point you knew that Giants weren't being run as the same organization anymore, that they
Right.
allowed that to happen because that
Yeah.
shouldn't.
So the other name on the list, I have Bob Greasy at 36.
Mhm.
You had him at 85.
I had Greasy at 85. No, no, no. 85 is Brian Greasy.
Oh, you have Brian Greasy.
That's Brian
Okay.
Greasy at
All right.
85.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Because I was like, all right, we're going to get into
you know,
this
you
one.
don't have to explain that one.
All right. All right.
All right, now that we have our Greasy straight, right? We're good with that.
Right. Right. Right.
All right, man. I think we're at a good stopping point here because from here, at least we would go down to 25 before I get to the next tier. But I think this is a good point for us to stop off here, and we will just go with our next show with our top 20. I'm sorry, that actually would be with the top 30. It would be 29 through one, but we will do the next two tiers, basically tier two and tier one. Our elite quarterbacks, the high end, the elite quarterbacks, and then our legends, the holies of holies. We're going to walk into there the next time. So, anything about our discussion today, man, that sticks out for you?
No, I mean, it's been a great conversation. I'm looking forward to finishing this up in the next episode. So, yeah, man, this has been fun.
Man, I love to do it. We've been having some fun with this. Can't wait to get in and talk about the best of the best when we get together next time. So go ahead, my man. Put a bow tie on this episode for us.
Yes, yes. So, hey, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. You know, Will and I love talking NFL, but when we're not, we are real estate agents in the state of Michigan. So, if you know anyone or if you are thinking about buying, selling, or investing, hit us up for a winning game plan in real estate. Fellas, share the pod with your crew. Ladies, share with your friends. Follow us, subscribe, hit that like button, and don't be a local head. Give us a 5-star rating.
And like your man Tellis said, we are realtors here in the Metro Detroit area. So if anybody's looking to buy, sell, or invest, reach out to us. And hey, we negotiate like Kirk Cousins, my guy. We get it done. Hey, we appreciate all the comments. And folks, we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.